Here we go. I'm just going to dive right into it. Welcome back. I'm hoping that you catch out the earlier stream with the monk debate. I think it was pretty interesting just seeing the way that those two flipped around. But if you haven't checked that out, then you haven't been checking out a lot of stuff. That's okay, because what I've got here is the statement of Brett Payne. This is the affidavit that brought in our favorite little accused person. I guess you could call him little. I don't know actually how tall he is. But Bryan Kohberger. Yeah. So, this is the affidavit that was released just today after they were able to. So there will be some redactions in here, I'm sure. What this is, it says, the below information is provided by Brett Payne, who is duly appointed, qualified, and acting peace officer within the county of Latah, state of Ohio. Basically, this is just telling us who he is. So here's where we've got, it basically says who he is. Bring this over here. There we go. That's right. All right. Yeah. Okay. It says who he is and what exactly he's doing. I'll be able to zoom in on it a little bit better here. Let me try this. There. Well, I don't need it that big. All right. The below information is provided by Brett Payne, who is duly appointed, qualified, and acting peace officer of the county of Latah, state of Idaho. Brett Payne is employed by Moscow Police Department in official capacity or position of corporal, and has been a trained and qualified police officer approximately 4 years. The CPL Payne is being assisted by members of the Idaho State Police agent and agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 4 o'clock p.m., Moscow Police Department Sergeant Blacker and I responded to 122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, hereafter the King Road resident, to assist with scene security and processing of a crime scene associated with 4 homicides. Upon our arrival, the Idaho Police ISP forensic team was on scene and was prepared to begin processing the scene. MPT Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers of the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. OFC Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. OFC Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. Doing this in a dramatic reading voice. I thought it would be more interesting this way. I don't normally talk like this, but my voice is a little shot after a long day of being on the phone. I digress. O.C. Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom of the second floor, which I later learned through Zaina's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room was Zaina Gernodle. Hereafter, Gernodle room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body, later identified as Gernodle's, lying on the floor. Gernodle was deceased with wounds which appear to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also, in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin, hereafter Chapin. Chapin was also deceased with wounds later determined. Autopsy report provided by Spokane County Medical Examiner, dated December 15th, 2022, to be caused by sharp force injuries. I then followed OFC Smith upstairs to the third floor of the residence. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later to be determined to be Gailey Conclave's, hereafter Conclave's, room. I later learned from review of the Officer Noon's body camera there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. The dog belonged to Conclave's and her ex-boyfriend, Jack Ducour. I found out from my interview with Jack Ducour on November 13th, 2022, that he and Conclave's shared the dog. OFC Smith then pointed out a small bathroom on the east side of the third floor. This bathroom shared a wall with Miss Madison Mogan's, hereafter Mogan bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the third floor. As I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females and a single bed in one room. Both Conclave's and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side when viewed from the door. The sheath was later processed and had K-Bar USMC and the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA suspect profile left on the button snap of the sheath of the knife. As part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department officers, Idaho State Police detectives, and FBI agents. 2 of the interviews included BF and DM. Both BF and DM were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides and were roommates to the victims. BF's bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor of the King Road residence. Based on numerous interviews conducted by MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents, as well as my review of evidence, I have learned the following. On the evening of November 12, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle are seen by BF at the Sigma House on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Perce Drive from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th. BF also estimated that at approximately 1:45, Chapin and Kernodle returned to the King Road residence. BF also stated that Chapin did not live in the King Road residence but was a guest of Kernodle. Conclave's and Mogan were at a local bar, the Corner Club at 202 North Main Street in Moscow. Conclave's and Mogan can be seen on video footage provided by the Corner Club between 1:00 p.m. on November 12th and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th at approximately 1:30 a.m. Conclave's and Mogan can be seen on the video at the local food vendor called the Grub Truck. At 318 South Main Street in downtown Moscow, the Grub Truck live streams video from their food truck on the streaming platform Twitch, which is available for public viewing on their website. This video was captured by law enforcement. A private party, redacted, reported that he provided a ride to Miss Conclave's and Mogan at approximately 1:56 a.m. from the downtown Moscow in front of the Grub Truck to the King Road residence. DM and BF both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 a.m. and asleep, or at least in their rooms, by approximately 4 a.m. This is with the exception of Kernodle, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash delivery driver who reported this information. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. DM stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Conclave's playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedroom, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Conclave say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of the records obtained from forensic download of Kernuddle's phone showed this could have also been Kernuddle, as her cell phone indicated that she was likely awake and using a TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. DM stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. DM stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernuddle's room. DM then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:15 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 112 King Road, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernuddle's bedroom. DM stated she opened her door for a third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered a person's mouth and nose walking towards her. DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller male, not very muscular but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. DM did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. Okay. I just want to say, I haven't read this yet. So, she's saying that there was a male with bushy eyebrows, not very muscular but athletically built, walk past. So, she doesn't describe the race. Was he Hispanic? Was he black? Was he white? She just says a male 5'10" or taller, athletically built, not very muscular. Well, that's about average. That's not a very good description. Just saying. Not a very good description to me. And the fact that he didn't do anything, he just walked past her and she stood in a shock phase. Now, at that point, I would be, rousing my roommates to ask who was just in our house that I don't know, that just walked past me, walked towards the back sliding glass door. What? Okay. So she heard the crying, saw a figure clad in black clothing, a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. And he walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Okay. Some random dudes in your house. I'd be calling the cops. I'd be checking out your roommates. Like, who was that? Is that like your late night hookup or what the hell? Dude, that's... I had to read this like 3 or 4 times right here because this makes no sense. But I will see if I can get back to my dramatic reading of this. We will see. It's weird. Really weird that you didn't say something to somebody. Jeez Louise. What kind of people are these? The combination of DM statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from BF and DM's phone, and video of a suspect video, as described below, leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by ISP forensic team by first using a presumptive blood test, then an amino black, a protein stain that detects the presence of cellular material. The detected shoe print shows a diamond-shaped pattern similar to the pattern of a Vans-type shoe sole just outside the door of DM's bedroom, located on the second floor. This is consistent with DM's statement regarding the suspect's path of travel. As part of the investigation, an extensive search, commonly referred to in law enforcement as a video canvas. Oh, cool. Got the bots. Block user, you've been blocked. You've been blocked. As part of the investigation in an extensive search, commonly referred to in law enforcement as a video canvas, was conducted in the area of the King Road residence. This video canvas was to obtain any footage from the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022 in the area of King Road residence and surrounding neighborhoods in an effort to locate the suspect or suspect's vehicle. Suspect's vehicle. Traveling to or leaving from King Road residence. This video canvas resulted in the collection of numerous surveillance videos in the area from both residential and business addresses. I have reviewed numerous videos that were collected and have had conversations with other MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents that are similarly reviewing footage that was obtained. A review of camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound on the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. On this video, it appears suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate. A review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. These sightings showed suspect vehicle 1 make an initial 3 passes by the 112 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. Based off my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. Let me ask really quick. So, let me ask. Review of multiple videos. Makes 3 passes by this particular residence. Now, my street, I have people pass by constantly, so I'm not paranoid. I don't look out to see if people are passing by. But it seems to me that if no vehicles are normally going down this particular area, I would suspect that generally you would never see any of these User timeout. There you go. Crazy. Weird stuff. Weird stuff. Nobody saw anything odd, because it wouldn't be odd if I saw a car go down my neighborhood 3 times. It'd just be like, you know. Now, what would be odd is if there was a car in my neighborhood at about 4 o'clock in the morning. Then I wouldn't. That would be odd to me if a car stopped out front or was cruising the area at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just happened to be up. Maybe this is why most criminals do things at dark. That could be a possibility. Could be a very big possibility of why they do that. But anyhow, back to the story. Back to the reading of this. Could be more dramatical if I tried. So let's try. Let's try to be maybe less grammatical. Less spooky. Let's try. If we can. See if I can expand that out a little bit there. Oh, yeah, there we go. Nope. It's still going to be super bright. Let me turn one of these off because... that's better. Whew. That was blindingly white. Oh my gosh. Blindingly. All right. Let's continue on. Suspect Vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 King Road, number 52, then driving back westbound on King Road. When Suspect Vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road resident, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Vehicle Suspect 1 is next seen departing the area of King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. Suspect Vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Walenta Drive. Based on my knowledge of the area and review of the camera footage in the neighborhood that does not show Suspect Vehicle 1 during that time frame, I believe that the Suspect Vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palos River Drive and Constoga Drive. Palos River Drive is the southern edge of Moscow and proceeds into Whitman County, Washington. Eventually, the road leads to Pullman, Washington. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth between them. Law enforcement officers provided video footage of Suspect Vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that would be the FBI, that regularly utilize surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of an unknown vehicle that is observed by one or more cameras during the commission of a criminal crime. I don't want to say that's scary. That's scary right there, that they can track you at any time. We just punch in the year, make, and model, and we can probably figure out who in the hell you are. God forbid you have something that's odd. Like, say, for example, you've got a DeLorean. That would be pretty strange. DeLorean driving around. I'm not talking about Back to the Future. I'm just saying just a regular, straight-up DeLorean. That would be strange. But in that area, how many people do you think actually own a DeLorean? That would be interesting. Just saying. The forensic examiner has approximately 35 years law enforcement experience with 12 years at the FBI. His specific training includes identifying unique characteristics of the vehicles, and he uses a database that gives visual clues of vehicles across states to identify differences between vehicles. After reviewing the numerous observations of suspect vehicle 1, the forensic examiner initially believed that suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Upon further review, he indicated that could also be a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing information on persons in possession of a vehicle that is a 2011-2016 white Hyundai Elantra. Obviously, you would do that. Investigators were given access to video footage on the Washington State University WSU campus located in Pullman, Washington. A review of that video indicated that at approximately 2:44 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of the white Elantra known as Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed on WSU surveillance cameras traveling north on the southeast Nevada Street at Stadium Way at approximately 2:53 a.m. A white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Elantra known as Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed traveling southeast on Nevada Street in Pullman, Washington towards State Route 270. State Route 270 connects Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho. This camera footage from the Pullman, Washington was provided to the same FBI forensic examiner. The forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman, Washington as being a 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. At approximately 5:25 a.m., a white sedan which was consistent with the description of Suspect Vehicle 1 was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington, and WSU campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at 1300 Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Okay. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Palouse River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with Conestoga Drive. Conestoga Drive. Gotta get that right. Conestoga Drive. Conestoga Drive. The white sedan was then observed turning north on Bishop Boulevard and northwest on State Route 270 at approximately 5:27 a.m. The white Elantra was observed on cameras traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street, Stadium Way at Grimes Way, Stadium Drive at Wilson Road, and Stadium Way at Cougar Way. Depiction showing Moscow and Pullman. Okay. That's a horrible picture. Depiction showing white Elantra path of travel not to scale. Square? They drove in a square. Okay, got it. What they're saying is the arrows are the path of travel, the red arrows. Boom, 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 boom. And there's leaving. Okay, that's... So far, I'm not convinced. You've got to give me a little bit more. Just give me more information that you might have. On November 25th, 2022, MPD asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for a white Hyundai Elantras in the area. On November 29th, 2022 at approximately 12:28. Washington State University police officer Daniel Tiengo queried about white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate LFZ 8649. This vehicle was registered to Bryan Kohberger, thereafter Kohberger, residing at 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment 201, Pullman, Washington. 1630 Northeast Valley Road is approximately 3/4 of a mile from the intersection of Stadium Way and Cougar Way. Last camera location that picked up the white Elantra. That same day at approximately 12:58 a.m., WSU Washington officer Curtis Whitman was looking for a white Hyundai Elantra and located a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra at 1630 Northeast Valley Road in Pullman in the parking lot. 1630 Northeast Valley Road is an apartment complex that houses WSU students. Officer Whitman also ran the car, and it returned to Kohberger with a Washington tag. I reviewed Kohberger's Washington State driver's license information and photograph. This license indicates that Kohberger is a white male of a height of 6 foot and weighs 185 pounds. Additionally, the photograph of Kohberger shows that he has bushy eyebrows. Kohberger's physical description is consistent with the description of the male DM saw inside the King Road residence on November 13th. Further investigation, including a review of LATA County Sheriff's Deputy CPL Duke's body cams and reports, showed that on August 21st, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop that occurred in Moscow, Idaho by CPL Duke. At the time, Kohberger, who was the sole occupant, was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate LFZ 8649, which was set to expire on November 30th, 2022. During the stop, which was recorded via a law enforcement body cam, Kohberger provided his phone number as last 4 digits ending in 8458, hereafter the 8458 phone. As his cellular phone number, investigators conducted electronic database queries and learned that the 8458 phone is a number issued by AT&T. On October 14th, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop by a WSU police officer. On review of that body cam and report of the stop, Kohberger was the sole occupant and was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate LFZ 8649. On November 18th, 2022, according to sorry about that. On November 18th, 2022, according to Washington State Licensing, Kohberger registered the 2015 white Elantra with Washington and later received a Washington plate CFB 8708. Prior to this time, the 2015 white Elantra was registered in Pennsylvania, which does not require a front license plate to be displayed. This was learned through communications with a Pennsylvania officer who is currently certified in the state of Pennsylvania. Based on my own experience and communication with Washington law enforcement, I know that Idaho and Washington require front and back license plates to be displayed. Investigators believe that Kohberger is still driving the 2015 white Elantra because his vehicle was captured on December 13th, 2022 by a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado. Information provided by a query to a database. Kohberger's Elantra was then queried on December 15th by law enforcement in Hancock County, Indiana. On December 16th, 2022, at approximately 2:26 p.m., surveillance showed that Kohberger's Elantra in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The sole occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Kohberger. Kohberger has family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Learn through a TLO search and locate tool database query. I'll show you what one of those look like. Actually, I can't. Based on information provided by the WSU website, Kohberger is currently a PhD student at criminology at Washington State University. Pursuant to records provided by a member of the interview panel for Pullman Police Department, we learned that Kohberger's past education included undergraduate degrees in psychology and cloud-based forensics. Okay. These records also showed Kohberger wrote an essay when he applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department in the fall of 2022. Kohberger wrote his essay. He had interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies on how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. Kohberger also posted a Reddit survey which can be found by an open source internet search. The survey asked for participants to provide information to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision making when committing a crime. As part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cell towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13, 2022, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that Kohberger was associated to both the 2015 white Alondra and the 8458 phone, investigators reviewed these search warrant returns. A query of the 8458 phone in these returns did not show the 8458 phone utilizing cell tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 and 5 a.m. Based on my training, experience, and conversations with law enforcement officers that specialize in the utilization of cellular phone telephone records as part of investigations, individuals can either leave their cellular phone in a different location before committing a crime or turn their cellular phone off prior to going to a location to commit a crime. Well, Mr. Officer Handy, let me just give you a little bit more information. Or they may have not been there to commit a crime. It may not be the person that you've got, Mr. Officer Handy. And there is a lot of coincidences, a lot of coinky-dinkies. I'll give you that. But so far, you just got coinky-dinkies. But there could be more. Let's find out. This is done by subjects in an effort to avoid alerting law enforcement that a cellular device associated with them was in a particular area where a crime was committed. I also know that on numerous occasions subjects will surveil an area where they intend to commit a crime prior to the date of the crime, depending on the circumstances. This could be done a few days before or several months prior to the commission of a crime. During these types of surveillance, it is possible that an individual would not leave their cell phone in a separate location or turn it off, since they do not plan to commit the offense on that particular day. On December 23, 2022, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for the historical phone records between November 12, 2022 at 12 a.m. and November 14th at 12 a.m. for the 8458 phone held by the phone provider AT&T approximately 24 hours preceding and following the times of the homicides. Okay, so he applied for the search warrant for the phone records November 12th and November 14th for that phone. Okay. On December 23rd, 2022, pursuant to that search warrant, I received the records for the 8458 phone from AT&T. These records indicated that the 8458 phone is subscribed to Bryan Kohberger at an address in Albrights, Pennsylvania, and the account has been open since June 23rd, 2022. These records also include historical cell site location information, CSLI, for the 8458 phone. After receiving this information, I consulted with an FBI special agent, SA for short, that is certified as a member of the Cellular Analyst Survey Team, CAST for short. Members of CAST are certified with FBI to provide expert testimony in the field of historical CSLI and are required to pass extensive training that includes both written and practical examinations prior to be certified with CAST, as well as the completion of a yearly certification requirements. Additionally, the FBI CAST SA that I consulted with has over 15 years of law enforcement experience, which includes 6 years with the FBI. From information provided by CAST, I was able to determine estimated locations of the 8458 phone from November 12th, 2022 to November 13th, 2022, the time period authorized by the court. Dun dun dun. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 2:42 a.m., the 8458 phone was utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to the 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment G20, Pullman, Washington, hereafter the Kohberger residence. At approximately 2:47 a.m., the 8458 phone utilizes cellular resources that provided coverage southeast of the Kohberger residence, consistent with the 8458 phone leaving the Kohberger residence and traveling south through Pullman, Washington. This is consistent with the movement of the White Alondra. And approximately 2:47 a.m., the 8458 phone stops reporting to the network, which is consistent with either the phone being in an area without cell coverage, the connection to the network was disabled, such as putting the phone in airplane mode, or that the phone is turned off. The 8458 phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilizes cellular resources that provide coverage to ID State Highway 95 south of Moscow, ID near Blaine, Idaho, north of Genesee. Between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26 a.m., the phone utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with the 8458 phone traveling south on Idaho State Highway 95 to Genesee ID, then traveling westwards towards Uniontown ID, Idaho, and then back into Pullman, Washington at approximately 5:30 a.m. The 8548 phone is utilizing resources that provide coverage to Pullman, Washington, and consistent with the phone traveling back to the Kohberger residence. The 8458's phone movements are consistent with the movements of the White Alondra that is observed traveling north on Stadium Drive at approximately 5:27 a.m. Based on a review of the 8458's phone estimated locations and travel, the 8458 phone's travel is consistent with that of the White Alondra. Dun dun dun. So they go into a little bit more about this, just basically saying that this phone was there. And they're giving a possible route, not definitive, just a possible route. Investigators found that the 8458 phone did connect to a cell phone tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th, 2022, but investigators do not believe the 8458 phone was in Moscow on that date. Okay. 8458 phone was not connected to any towers that provide service to Moscow since that date. Okay, this is weird. All right, I'll go back up and read it. Further review indicated that the 8458 phone utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with it leaving the Kohberger residence approximately 9 a.m. and traveling in the direction towards Moscow, Idaho. Specifically, the 8458 phone utilizes cellular resources that would provide coverage to the King Road residence between 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m. The 8458 phone next utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with the 8458 phone traveling back to the area of the Kohberger residence and arriving to the area at approximately 9:32 a.m. So my question would be, you've done this deeper research. You've done this deep of research on this particular one. Like it was there the day before. So why wouldn't you go back even further to see if he has been there maybe a week before, maybe 2 weeks before, maybe 3 weeks before, maybe a month before, maybe when it was warmer out? I mean, is it possible to pull up some of those earlier records of video? I don't know. It just seems a little strange to me that you wouldn't do a little more digging. I would hope that you would do more digging, but I think they think they've got a really good case. Well, we shall see. Let's continue our dramatic reading of the affidavit of Brett Payne. All right. Investigators found that the 8458 phone did connect to a cell phone tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th, 2022, but investigators do not believe that the 8458 phone was in Moscow on that date. So it pinged to it, but they don't believe the phone was there on that date. The 8458 phone was not connected to any towers that provide service to Moscow since that date. So the 8458 phone did connect to a cell phone tower that provides service in Moscow on November 14th. But investigators do not believe the 8458 phone was in Moscow on that date. Why not? The 8458 phone has not connected to any towers that provide service to Moscow since November 14th, 2022. Okay. Call me confused. That makes no sense. These are either bad writing or not good editing. But we're going to get an explanation, I'm sure. Based on my training, experience, and the facts of the investigation thus far, I believe that Kohberger, the user of the 8458 phone, was likely the driver of the white Elantra that is observed departing Pullman, Washington, and that this vehicle is likely suspect vehicle 1. Additionally, the route of travel of the 8458 phone during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, and the lack of the 8458 phone reporting to AT&T between 2:47 a.m. and 4:48 a.m. is consistent with the Kohberger attempting to conceal his location during the quadruple homicide that occurred at the King Road residence. On December 23, 2022, I was granted a search warrant for Kohberger's historical CSLI from June 23, 2022 to current, prospective location information, and a pen register trap, trace at the 8458 phone to aid in the efforts to determine if Kohberger stalked any of the victims in this case prior to the offense. Conducted surveillance on the King Road residence, was in contact with any of the victims' associates before or after the alleged offense. Any locations that may contain evidence of the murders that occurred on November 13th, 2022, the location of the white Elantra registered to Kohberger, as well as the location of Kohberger. Take those off. Oof. On December 23rd, 2022, pursuant to that search warrant, I received historical records for the 8458 phone from AT&T from the time the account was opened in June 2022. After consulting with CAST SA, I was able to determine estimated locations for the 8458 phone from June 2022 to present, the time period authorized by the court. The records for the 8458 phone show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular resources that provided coverage to the area of 1122 King Road on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th, 2022. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. One of these occasions, on August 21st, 2022, the 8458 phone utilizes cellular resources providing coverage to the King Road residents from approximately 10:34 p.m. to 11:35 p.m. At approximately 11:37 p.m., Kohberger was stopped by Latah County Sheriff Deputy CPL Duke, as mentioned above. The 8458 phone was utilizing cellular resources consistent with the location of the traffic stop during this time: Farm Road and Pullman Highway. Further analysis of the cellular data provided showed the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th, 2022, consistent with the phone traveling from Pullman, Washington to Lewiston, Idaho via the Highway 195 at approximately 12:36 p.m. The 8458 phone utilizes cellular resources that would provide coverage to Kate's Coffee Cup of Joe coffee stand, located at 810 Port Drive, Clarkston, Washington. Surveillance footage from the U.S. Chef store located at 820 Port Drive, Clarkston, Washington, and adjacent to Kate's Cup of Joe showed a white Elantra consistent with the suspect vehicle 1 drive past Kate's Cup of Joe at a time consistent with the cellular data from 8458 phone. At approximately 12:46 p.m., the 8458 phone then utilized cellular data in the area of the Albertsons grocery store at 400 Bridge Street in Clarkston, Washington. Surveillance footage obtained from the Albertsons showed Kohberger exit the white Elantra, consistent with suspect vehicle 1. At approximately 12:49 p.m., interior surveillance cameras showed Kohberger walk through the store, purchase unknown items at the checkout, and leave at approximately 1:04 p.m. Kohberger's possible path of travel is depicted below, not to scale. Dun 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 dun. Additional analysis of records for the 8458 phone indicated that between approximately 5:32 p.m. and 5:36 p.m., the 8458 phone utilizes cellular resources that provided coverage to Johnson, Idaho. The 8458 phone then stops reporting to the network from approximately 5:36 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That is consistent with the 8458 phone being in the area that the 8458 phone traveled in the hours immediately following the suspected time the homicides occurred. On December 27, 2022, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from Kohberger family residence located at Albrights, Pennsylvania. That evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. So that's where they got his DNA, was from the trash. Wow. On December 28, 2022, the Idaho State Lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of suspect profile. At least 99.99998% of the male population would be expected to be excluded from the possibility of being the suspect's biological father. Dun, dun, dun. Interesting. So this is what they've got on him so far. And it's looking pretty solid at this point. Based on the above information, I am requesting an arrest warrant be issued for Bryan C. Kohberger, date of birth 11/24/1994, for burglary at 112 King Street in Moscow, Idaho, and 4 counts of murder in the first degree for the murders of Madison Mogan, Kaylee Conglaves, and Zaina Kernodle, and Ethan Cabin. I declare under penalty of perjury, pursuant to the state of Ohio, blah, 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 blah. So there we have 8 pages of that. I hope you enjoyed this dramatic reading of an affidavit. The affidavit of Brett Payne. No thoughts? It's interesting. It's definitely enough to get you an arrest warrant. It's definitely enough to get an arrest warrant. DNA evidence is going to be pretty hard to fight. Just saying. But maybe there's a reason. He's going to plead not guilty. Or is he going to plead guilty? Well, that's it for tonight. I'm going to call it... Oof. Got blurry there for a second. I don't know if that was me or my camera. But I'm going to call it a night. I think that was quite interesting that he was picked up on those charges. Pardon me. Hopefully, everybody has a wonderful evening, good morning, whichever it may be. And I'm going to call it a night for tonight. So that was 2 separate streams, and I was doing the second one just to make sure that you got to see a dramatic reading of the affidavit of Brett Payne. Bring on the pain. Bring on the pain.
Exótica.